KYIV, Ukraine. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine escalated overnight as both nations launched aerial assaults, with each reporting over 100 enemy drones. These attacks came just hours after Russian President Vladimir Putin met with U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff to discuss a proposed 30-day ceasefire aimed at de-escalating hostilities and paving the way for broader peace negotiations. Putin expressed conditional support for the truce, but emphasized the need for further clarification before an agreement could be reached. Ukraine has endorsed the U.S.-led proposal, but doubts persist over Moscow's commitment to honoring any deal. Ceasefire talks and Western involvement. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky spoke in Kyiv following virtual discussions with Western allies, hosted by UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. He reaffirmed Ukraine's willingness to accept the ceasefire if it serves as a foundation for lasting peace, but warned that Russia might introduce preconditions to stall negotiations. Starmer urged continued diplomatic and economic pressure on Moscow to ensure compliance with any ceasefire agreement. He praised Ukraine for its commitment to peace and expressed confidence that Putin would eventually have no choice but to negotiate. Zelensky also accused Russia of massing troops along the border, signaling an intent to prolong the conflict rather than seek diplomatic solutions. He warned that if Moscow rejects the U.S. proposal, Washington would respond firmly. If Russia does not agree, there will be a strong and direct reaction from President Donald Trump's administration, he said. Military developments on the ground. One of the key battlegrounds remains Russia's Kursk region, where Ukrainian forces are reportedly active despite Moscow's claims of having encircled thousands of Ukrainian troops. Zelensky dismissed these claims, asserting that Ukrainian forces continue operations in the area and are holding off Russian and North Korean military groupings. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov to discuss next steps following recent diplomatic meetings in Saudi Arabia. According to State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce, the officials agreed to maintain communication channels between Washington and Moscow. Massive drone and missile attacks. Ukraine reported that Russia launched 178 drones and 2 ballistic missiles overnight, primarily targeting energy infrastructure. Ukrainian forces intercepted 130 drones, while others failed to reach their targets. Attacks caused significant damage to power facilities, particularly in Dnipropetrovsk and Odessa, leaving many without electricity. Energy company DTEK confirmed efforts were underway to restore power. In retaliation, Ukraine targeted Russian infrastructure, including a facility in Volgograd. A fire broke out near a Lukoil refinery, prompting temporary airport closures, though no casualties were reported. Uncertain future of the conflict. Despite talks of a ceasefire, continued military action raises doubts about its feasibility. While Ukraine remains open to negotiations, concerns persist over Russia's intentions. Previous ceasefire attempts have collapsed due to renewed hostilities. With Ukraine receiving ongoing Western military aid and Russia facing sanctions, the war shows no signs of immediate resolution. The success of the U.S. proposed truce will depend on how both nations respond in the coming days. Until then, civilians on both sides continue to suffer.